this province was trying to introduce more water markets, I will say, because there already are water markets in southern Alberta. And we went around coalition working together. There was Public Interest Alberta, Council of Canadians, CUPE, and we presented a paper in regards to water markets and the, I'd say more so the cons of water markets and what the province has been doing. It was very interesting to me, and it was so interesting because I knew a lot of what had happened over time with the government in my position as a laboratory technician. And one of the examples I used was they were changing the testing, the amount of testing and what they were testing. And I, as a laboratory technician at that time, fought the government changing that. They would come and they would test samples. We would do composite splits. So it was just an easy flow for me to work on this project. And we still are talking about our water is not for sale, and now we're going into the avenue of privatization of wastewater facilities, which the government is pushing, and that's something we will definitely need to work on down the road here and activate union members, activate citizens, and let them know that our water is not a commodity. It is a human right, and it needs to stay a human right. I had an interesting situation happen to me just after I'd been elected as president of CUPE Alberta. And I had a vehicle. And this is an interesting thing I'm going to talk about too. I have two stories to tell here. Good. Okay. So the first one is I had a vehicle and it had CUPE on it. It had CUPE and it had decals and it had all of that on it. The president prior to me was a male, and a bit more of an intimidating male. He was more intimidating. He never once driving that CUPE vehicle did he get hassled about unions. I ended up having to take the decals off that vehicle because I was accosted 3 times in regards to unions and effing unions and that sort of thing. One was outside a drinking establishment and I was staying at that hotel. I just kept walking and just didn't even, The second time it was actually in Fort Macleod, where again, somebody came up to me. I got out of the vehicle and they came up to me and started yelling and hollering at me about unions. And the third time was Calgary. And I was in the parking lot and I was getting ready to go and it had snowed. And an individual came out and said, "Oh, you're with CUPE." And I said, "Yes." And he goes, "Well, I want to talk to you." And he started on me, and it was Wolf, I believe his last name is, and was from Edgelin. And he was pissed off because of CUPE's comments and CUPE's politicking and lobbying on big box daycares. And he actually went, it was to the point where I probably should have called the police. He didn't push me. He didn't, but he was right in my face. A number of times I had to back away from him. And I then joked around about I became an Edgelin follower, not a good follower, but a bad follower. Yes.
So you were threatened primarily because you were a woman who was also a union member.
Yes. And I only had that vehicle with those decals on. I was elected in April, not April 1st, April 2nd. And those altercations between April and September, I had 3 altercations. The individual before me, same vehicle, was a male. Not once was he accosted or spoken to.